Discussion on the amendment is now in order to consider amendments to the ANS to H.R. 281. I recognize Ranking Member Huffman for the purpose of offering an amendment designated Huffman number 1. Without objection, the amendment is considered read.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm pinch hitting for Ranking Member Hoyle, who was going to present this. But our colleagues across the aisle talk about best available data, following the science, but this bill actually ignores the last 8 years of best available science. The 2017 rule relied on outdated characterizations of distinct population segments, and a federal judge in Montana, not because of some whim, not because of caprice, but a federal judge in Montana followed the law and ruled the delisting rule illegal in 2018, citing the Fish and Wildlife Service's failure to consider long-term genetic effects on other populations and concerns that the decision was driven by political pressure, which it was, instead of the best available science. So since then, the Fish and Wildlife Service has worked to update its analysis to incorporate the genetic connectivity of these grizzly bear populations and ensure the grizzly's recovery across its range. The service published an updated species status assessment in October of last year, rejected petitions to delist the grizzly bear, and proposed an amended 4D rule to better address human-grizzly conflicts within the bear's range, which we all support. Here's the kicker. The updated species status assessment clearly shows the greater Yellowstone ecosystem DPS, which the bill attempts to delist, is no longer considered a distinct population segment of the grizzly bear in the lower 48. Instead, the assessment identifies one DPS encompassing the core grizzly ecosystems throughout Washington, Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming. So to follow the science, we can't go and arbitrarily delist one small part of the larger grizzly bear population without a thorough review of what that means for the recovery of the grizzly bear throughout its range. And my amendment simply tries to align this bill with the science, make sure that the service continues to follow the science and considers the updated science status assessment in any change to the grizzly bear's status. I urge adoption and yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Is there further discussion on the amendment? Ms. Hageman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This amendment would make the reissuance of the rule contingent on DOI considering any updates to the species status since July 1, 2017, including the new characterization of a distinct population segment and geographic range, and state-level regulatory mechanisms that will affect the continued recovery of the grizzly bear in the greater Yellowstone ecosystem. Mr. Chairman, I am opposed to this amendment for many reasons, including the fact that as the science and data have routinely proven, the greater Yellowstone ecosystem grizzly bear population is more than double the recovery goals, and it should be delisted. Activist judges, however, have blocked our efforts to do so, and as a result, it is time for Congress to act to carry out the intent of the Endangered Species Act. I believe that the ranking member's amendment is making a veiled reference to the proposed rule issued in the final days of the Biden administration. That proposed rule would have merged the greater Yellowstone ecosystem bear into a single DPS with other populations in other states, thereby punishing Wyoming for its recovery successes and tying recovery not to the law or science, but to other species and geographic areas. This rule violates the ESA, the Grizzly Recovery Plan, and the rights of Wyoming citizens. This underhanded attempt to move the goalposts another several hundred yards down the field in relation to the GYE delisting is the exact reason why this legislation is so important and why this amendment is entirely unsuited for the bill. It would exacerbate the 97% failure rate of the ESA and encourage more bad federal policy not rooted in science. I urge all my colleagues to oppose this amendment, and I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. And for clarity, Mr. Huffman, I think you stated this was Hoyle number 2, but it is actually Huffman number 1.
Okay.
All right.
All right. You want me to start over?
No. Just wanted to make sure everybody knew we were on Huffman number 1. Any further discussion on the amendment? So I recognize myself. I oppose this amendment. This is classic moving the goalpost. When the species recovery plan was set up, there were different ecosystems that were established, and now that the grizzly bear has met all the recovery goals in the greater Yellowstone ecosystem. We find that people want to blend all the ecosystems together and to make it one large ecosystem. How will we ever accomplish the goals if we move the goalpost in the middle of the game? This amendment is just an attempt to keep this drama playing out in years to come. And I say it's time to end the drama and to delist the grizzly bear. I oppose the amendment and I yield back. Is there further discussion on the amendment? If there's no further discussion on the amendment, the question is on the amendment offered by Ranking Member Huffman, designated Huffman number 1. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. No. The opinion of the chair, the noes have it. A recorded vote has been requested. Further proceedings on this amendment will be postponed.